Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining today's Watch and Learn demo, Level Up Your L&D Strategy with the Go1 Content Hub. I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Go1. Go1 makes it easy for organizations to learn with a comprehensive online library of learning resources. Go1 pulls the world's top online learning providers into one place, delivering all the learning an organization needs in a single solution. I'm Alexandria Clapp, the Content Manager for Learning Technologies and Sciences at ATD, and I will be your moderator today. Our speakers plan to keep you engaged throughout the session, so as Regina mentioned, please share your questions and comments with your fellow participants in our chat box, and we will have time for Q&A at the end of our event, so I'll save any unanswered and new questions to be addressed then. I'm very pleased to introduce today's speakers, Shawn Moore and Jake Villa. Shawn is an enterprise account executive at Go1, and he joins us with over 13 years of experience in leadership development. And our second speaker is Jake Villa, and he's a customer success manager with Go1. So without further ado, I will pass it over to Shawn and Jake to take it away for us today.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Let me go ahead and share my screen and get us going here. Okay, so I think I have control. There it is. Okay. Thank you again, Alexandria. Everybody able to see the screen okay? If not, drop us a note in the chat. I am trying to get rid of some of these windows so that we can make this in presentation mode. Okay. So as an introduction to Go1, so where did Go1 begin? Go1 actually began as an LMS. Everything kind of starts with the LMS there. It is something that we realized was important at the beginning, but as we went along, what happened was we realized that a lot of our customers were actually struggling with content. And so we recognized that this is a challenge that our customers were facing. Most of them were having to go to multiple different providers and to be able to find their content. So they're going, if they needed leadership training, they're having to go to one provider. If they're needing compliance training or IT training, they're having to go to another provider. So it became really challenging. And you can imagine as you're doing that with multiple different providers, you are creating a really fragmented content sourcing challenge. So you're managing multiple vendor relationships, you're managing multiple contracts, you're usually spending more money because you're managing all these different contracts. So with that, our customers were running into this challenge, and we thought, okay, how can we help them? How can we help solve that challenge? So what, in fact, one of the things, I was actually just speaking with a provider yesterday, actually, who was saying that, yeah, we're a technical provider, and we have customers coming to us all the time who are asking for sales training or for leadership training or for IT. And they said, no, we don't have that. We just have the technical side. So again, it's just a challenge. They might create really good technical content, but how do you get all that other training and to do so it's there in one place? So with that, we wanted to ask you all a question kind of to start us off here. How many content providers have you had to work with in the past? 1, 2, more than 2? What does that look like for you? And you might think about some of the pain that that's created for you if you've had to deal with that in the past.
Yeah, the other thing that we see a lot, Shawn, is like when somebody starts with Go1 and they start to like announce to the rest of their company that they have Go1 and they have all this content now, which we'll talk about, these other departments are like, oh, wait a second, we don't need this contract that we have with this content provider that the L&D team didn't even know existed, right? Like there's all these, you know, the sales team contracted with Sarter Learning directly, or the IT team, you know, contracted with somebody else directly for Azure or AWS, and then they find out that they have access to all this stuff, and the L&D team never even knew that all these other contracts existed.
So true, Jake, so true. I see that all the time where they didn't even realize that the other department was using this training, or they already have multiple providers and they wanted something else, and we have solutions that can help them there. It looks like, if I'm seeing it correctly, over 80% of those who answered are dealing with multiple vendors, 2 or more. That's the grand majority of you.
I'm curious. That's a lot. And just out of curiosity, drop in the chat who you have contracts with currently. We'd love to know what content providers you're currently sourcing content from.
Perfect. I love that. I'd love to kind of see those answers as well. What Go1 does as a solution to that challenge that we've come across, so we've just switched from being an LMS, we have that option, but we really focus on content. And what we do is we handle that relationship for you so that you're only navigating one relationship. We partner with 150 so different providers, and these are the world's top providers in all of these different areas, to make sure that you get the best content possible. So a way that I like to think of us is kind of the Spotify of e-learning, if you will. Any and all training you can think of, whether it's leadership, IT, or sexual harassment prevention, it's all there in one place. And it'll be interesting to see your responses too. Again, I was just speaking with someone recently who was saying that they have some of these providers already. So they had a Skillsoft and they had Harvard and they wanted some other training, and we can help them consolidate that so it's all in one place and be able to access not only the providers they're already working with, but then many more providers that give them access to the training that they were also seeking on top of the training that they already had. So as I mentioned, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's really important to note that we have all of these providers in our library all for one price, right? Like you're not going to come to Go1 and pay us one amount for Skillsoft and another amount for Treliant courses and another amount for Will Interactive courses. This isn't all you can eat buffet pass to content, right? Like some of our competition, they might, piecemeal it to you, right? Oh, you want this? That'll be an extra nickel and dime. Or you want this? That'll be an extra nickel and dime. But this is truly an all you can eat buffet style offering, right? So it's not that you only get to pick and choose what you want. You have access to everything, which I think is a really, it's kind of mind-blowing.
It is. So true, Jake. Thank you. And it truly is that Spotify model. So it's one license for everything. And what you'll see is that we're constantly, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on, but we're always adding new providers, new content. That's continuously being added to. But again, as Jake mentioned, that doesn't change the price on anything. That's all part of what you get with the original license that you get. So from there, again, I think I mentioned this, but we have a team of about 30 folks who partner, try to find the best content out there. And their whole job is to vet the content, make sure that it's credentialed, that it's award-winning, that it's the top providers. And you can see we have broad providers such as a Skillsoft that offers an array of training, but we also have industry-specific training, like a Wall Street Prep for those who are looking more for finance-specific, or Harvard Business Publishing, or Blinkist for the professional development side, and people are really interested in advancing their careers with their personal interests there. So a wide variety. It really is that one-stop shop. I was working with one of my old bosses. As was mentioned, I started my career in leadership development, and he said, Shawn, where was this when we started? We used to do training. He's like, where was this? It would be so nice if this was all in one place. So the same reason that we all use Netflix or Spotify, that's what Go1 is for e-learning. And we cover any and every topic you can think of, from management to finance to business skills and communication to IT and HR to compliance. So all of those things. And we do it in multiple formats, right? So we have animated, interactive. Micro-learning is a really popular source of learning, making sure that you learn this in the flow of work, right? So that you only have a few minutes to be able to get some of your training in. You can access that through Go1 and make sure you find a course that's doing that for you and giving you kind of more on the job, in the flow of work type training. So, Jake, you work a lot with our customers. What have you seen from folks in terms of them enjoying, or what's it been like for them, how they access the different styles? Everybody has a different learning style. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, 100%. So I think one of the big things that people see right from the start is that usually if you contract directly with a single content provider, you get a single type of content, right? And so if your provider does things that are animated, a subset of your employee population is not going to love that content because they think it's cartoony or kiddish or whatever. So what we end up seeing is, and we'll show this in a little bit in the demo, But for example, anybody who comes on with Go1 as a customer, they immediately have access to over 240 some sexual harassment courses, meaning that they can bring in a couple of different versions of a course and offer a little bit of variety. So you might need a micro-learning, or you might need a 3-hour course. There's so much selection. There's animated, there's talking heads, there's interactive, there's videos. There's just something for everyone. I must be hungry because I just keep thinking of that buffet at Caesar's Palace in Vegas.
Well,
smattering.
That's perfect. I was just in Vegas, so I was looking for the buffets, and unfortunately they're shut down with COVID, which is just another highlight of how Go1 really helped during this crazy time that we're in, be able to access this content remotely. It's become such a need. So not only in these different learning styles, but to be able to do it in a way that's convenient and accessible no matter where you are. So great point, Jake. I think we had a question come in that asked, do we have the ability to download SCORM packages directly into the LXP? And we'll answer more questions like this towards the end, but the answer to the quick answer to that is yes. So if there's any follow-up to that, let us know. But the short answer to that is yes, you are absolutely able to do that. So with that, I wanted to share just a couple other things about how we work. We have spent hours and hours of time. We have content specialists, curation specialists who are experts in putting together content by topic and by industry. And for example, if you wanted to run your folks through a leadership program, we've already curated a curriculum playlist that you can access, and you don't have to go and worry about building that on your own. You would go to our playlist, you'd be able to find, okay, here's this leadership playlist, and you can see all these courses that are within that we've already vetted and that are recognized as the top quality courses on that subject. So that saves you a lot of time. Our whole goal is to save you as much time as we possibly can, so you can just access what we've already built for you. Secondly, you also have the option to make it your own, customize it however you want. So you might find a playlist that you like, but you want to add a course or two, or completely build something from scratch, and you have that ability to do that as well. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that those were options. So before I turn this over to Jake, I just kind of wanted to summarize what that looks like, and I think we had a couple more questions coming in as well. But again, a great way to think of us is kind of the Spotify of e-learning, unlimited access to an ever-growing library of content from the best providers in the industry and in the world. And it is worldwide, so multiple languages, multiple formats, and as we mentioned earlier too, we're always adding to it. I think, Jake, what do we add in the last couple of months, like 6 or 7 providers, is that right?
Yeah, I think so, and I think we have another 3 or 4 coming on, which is that the library as it stands and what you pay for it right now will continue to grow. So if you were to become a Go1 customer tomorrow, 3 months from now, there's going to be thousands more courses available for you in your library. It's an ever-growing library. But Shawn, I want to take us back to COVID, which everybody's been dealing with. But what we saw last February and March was this hard scramble for remote learning work and for COVID-specific courses, right? So that leads us into our next question of how long did it take for y'all to respond to COVID and to get e-learnings available for your team? Thinking about home office ergonomics, thinking about COVID safety, thinking about safety in the office, thinking about remote work, managing remote teams. What are some of those other things that we've seen people really looking for? Basics of communication, how to use Microsoft Teams, how to use WebEx, how to use Zoom. Like teams that never had to use that stuff before suddenly had to start using it. So go ahead and answer the poll question. How long did it take you to source content to respond to COVID? What are some of the other topics that we've seen really pop up, Shawn?
Yeah, good question. You mentioned a couple of them. How to manage remote teams, I think, is one of the most popular topics these days that people are looking for. And again, now they were having to be reactionary because they didn't have access to that content previously. If they have Go1, they have that already. So they might not have been using how to manage remote teams previously. And then the pandemic hits. They don't have to go and try to contract and go through months of procurement or anything like that. They already have access to that. Another one was mental health. Extremely popular.
Okay.
Unconscious bias was another super popular one. So many of these courses that people wanted, and now they had to go chase them and go find them. But with Go1, again, they'd all be there for you right there.
Yeah, our customers with COVID, and again, if you're just partnering directly with a single content provider, you had to wait for that content provider to create something. And I think within a couple of weeks, we had 40-some COVID courses in our library that were available to our people. So definitely that proactive versus reactive nature, right?
Absolutely. So with that, again, people look like they were on it pretty quickly. I don't know if you're seeing the results there, but people are needing to respond to how to source this content and to get that in as quickly as possible. It seems like that's a huge urgent need. Jake, I think, did you have any other comments on what we've covered so far before I turn it over to you for a demonstration of what the platform looks like?
No, I'm ready to drive.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing.
Okay. Awesome. Well, friends, I'm really excited to show this to you and to dive into it a little bit. I lost my chat box, so Jessica, I'm going to pull up this other chat in case you can drop those questions there for me. So everybody, this is our platform. This is my personal platform. It's branded for me. So my name is Jake Adventure Via. Adventure is my middle name, so this is kind of my logoed site. Now, our platform is completely customizable. You can use it as a learning experience platform, or you can use it as a pass-through. So I saw somebody asking about SCORM files, which I'll show you here in a second. Again, this is totally brandable. You can make it look however you want it to look for your organization. You can connect your SSO directly to this, so everybody can just log in with their Microsoft or any other SSO setup. And it really becomes your home for L&D. So let me log in here and show you what it looks like on the inside. Give it a little refresh here to get rid of my password setting thing. So this is our dashboard. Again, totally customizable. This banner up top here can be changed out for whatever you would like. This little logo up here in the corner can be your logo. The first thing that our learners are going to see is their continued learning, and they can just jump back into any course that they started. And right below that, they can see anything that you've assigned them, and they can jump right into it there as well. From our search bar, we can come up here and we can search for something like Excel 365, right? Everybody always needs Excel courses. And so we pull this up and we can really quickly see we've got 153 results that are specific to Excel 365. If I take out Excel 365, we might be looking at 2019 courses or 2016 courses, but there's almost 3,500 different Excel courses in here. We can filter by duration, so that if maybe we just need micro learnings, we can filter by provider, and you can see here some of those 125 plus different content providers. Or you can filter by type. You can filter by videos or interactive or courses, whatever it is that works best for you. We talked a little bit about sexual harassment. Show you kind of what the library looks like there. We've got 380 different sexual harassment courses in here. So there's really something for everyone. There's a lot of state specific. I'm curious in the chat if you have state specific requirements. What are they? What states do you need state specific requirements for? Because I'm really curious. But we've got all of them: California, Illinois, New York, Connecticut, as well as global options as well. And then when we have things like PHP or Azure or HTML, or I had one customer who asked me, do you have anything about metals? Because they work in the fastener industry. There's literally anything that you can need in here. I see that somebody needs sexual harassment for California. So watch this. If we do sexual California, which just using keywords here, we've got 58 different courses that'll meet that sexual harassment for California. So this library is large. It's ever growing. If we were to log back in here next month, the 75,000 would be bigger than it is now, and it just continues to grow. We also have these great playlists. We have these great playlists that you can just jump into. Any one of these, and Shawn talked briefly about this, but our specialists here at Go1 have curated these courses and handpicked them out to help you get started, because the library is so big and so vast that this is a way for us to kind of help highlight some of the most popular courses or some of the courses that we think are the best for this genre, for this moment. And these playlists are always being kind of upgraded and moved up as well.
Hey, Jake, real quick, just throwing in a couple questions here that people are asking. You mentioned as you're going through compliance, keeping in mind the idea of leveraging compliance courses to keep learners engaged, which we have found very useful from folks. How do you manage compliance deadlines, reporting, tracking for audits? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do have the ability to assign content and to assign content with due dates. And I'll jump into the reports here a little bit. Compliance is such an important thing, and it's something that everybody needs, so our system definitely is able to handle that. So I think that kind of goes to that. We'll jump into the reports here in a second. Other questions that we had here, do we curate content with artificial intelligence? So that's a great question. Down here at the bottom of our thing, we have this recommended for you section. So this is filtered by AI, and it builds based on what content the learners are taking. Mine's a little bit skewed because I'm doing so many things in so many different portals, but typically this would be full of recommended content based on other content that the learner's taking. They can also put in some keywords and some of their own interests here to kind of help build that recommended for you setting. So that kind of points them towards the library. Let me jump into our report settings. So here in our Administer tab, we can see all of our reports and enrollments really easily. We can also build out reports with all kinds of different filters. We can make it really intense and build out all kinds of different filters. And then we can configure in all kinds of different ways. So we can build tables or pie charts or bar charts or even a pivot table that we can change on the fly. All this is really dynamic. You load it, it's ready to go. You can save your reports for later. And then you can also export them to Excel, right? So it's really robust and configurable reporting that makes it super easy to do. So I want to talk about the next question, which was about exporting content. So we talked about pulling this out and using it somewhere else. Now we do have this learning experience platform, and this is included with the content package. But a lot of our customers are using Go1 content in a different LMS, right? You might be using Docebo or Osmore or ADP or one of those other great LMSs that are out there and exist. And so what you can do is you can come into the library with a simple click. You can export the selection and grab those SCORM files. Now we do have those SCORM files in all versions, including XAPI. So these are ready to go, ready to pull out. You can export by topic or by provider. You can also zoom down. So if we wanted to see that Excel 365 list, we could type that in here and just grab those couple of courses that we want, which really lets you use this as kind of a kitchen pantry, right? We're going to go bake a cake. We're going to go grab all of our ingredients. We're going to bring them to our counter, start baking our cake. And then maybe we forgot the oil, so we need to come back and grab another course, grab the oil, and bring it over to our LMS. So we make that really easy to do. On top of that, we have a lot of integrations that natively plug into different LMSs. So we have too many to list, but we have native integrations with Docebo, with Osmore, with SuccessFactors. And then we also have a Microsoft Teams tool that allows you to plug directly into Microsoft Teams and take content right inside of Microsoft Teams, which is really cool. So we have a lot of different integrations that are going along with that. So I'm going to turn it back over to Shawn because we're running short on time, and I want to make sure that we have time for any questions.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Jake. Let's make sure that we are able to bring this PowerPoint back up and show you. Because we did have one more poll question to ask, and for some reason it is sharing my screen because it didn't even ask me and it went to show it. Okay. All right. So the next question we want to ask you all is okay, now that you've seen this, you've kind of got an idea, you have an overview, you've been able to see the platform. Obviously today was really short. We only had, 20 minutes to go through this. But you'd like to learn more about this. You'd like to talk to a specialist about it. What do I do? What's next? So let us know. Go ahead and answer the question in the polling questions and let us know. We're more than happy to speak with you next steps. I was just typing to someone in the chat about how to reach out to us with specific questions. You'll have our contact info as well. But Jake, I've been in the business for, as I mentioned, 13. It's been close to 15 years now of doing this, and I would say that our customer success folks are some of the best in the industry, and that's Jake and his team. And in terms of next steps, Jake, what do you generally recommend?
Yeah, so reach out to us, get started, right? You need content, we have content. That's what we're all about. I love that we're the only ones of our kind, right? We're the only ones really doing what we do. And I posted a job posting on LinkedIn a couple of days ago. I've had a lot of cool jobs working for a lot of cool companies, and I don't think I've ever been as excited about the future of the company that I work for as I am with Go1. So next steps, reach out to us, come on board, come be part of the family. But I want to get to some of these questions as well. I saw a couple of different questions about designing training or branding training. We do have a course builder inside of the platform that I didn't have time to show you, but it allows you to do some really cool things where you can take a custom course or not a custom course, but an off-the-shelf course, so maybe a course from Treliant or Skillsoft, and put your own PDF or your own video or your own document with it and push that out as a single course. So it kind of lets you brand, the Skillsoft course, the Treliant course, or that other course would exist as a module, and then all of your other content would be additional modules on that course. But that allows you to kind of build your own content. And then,
Jake, can I jump in and build off of that question?
Yeah,
so,
please.
Can you sort of describe how your service compares to other off-the-shelf or third-party content providers like LinkedIn Learning or Open Sesame, if folks are familiar with those types of providers?
Yeah, Shawn's going to take that one.
Absolutely. So obviously, like LinkedIn Learning, fantastic organization. One of the big differentiators there is, you remember how we mentioned different learning styles. LinkedIn Learning, they have a variety of topics, but it's all one learning style. And if that learning style doesn't resonate with you, then it's a challenge for your organization to be able to find content that resonates with the majority of your folks. So that's one big difference, I'd say. Cost is another one. There are multiple differences, but those are some of the biggest ones. And so we definitely love them, respect them, and we're actually both backed by Microsoft. Microsoft sees value in both organizations, and it's been fun to kind of see the value that we can add to folks who struggle and really want to have the different learning styles as part of that and at a cost-effective approach.
Yeah. And then I think to the other question about our other provider, our other competition, it's really about that all-you-can-eat buffet, right? You have complete access to everything, where some of our competition might try to piecemeal you or nickel and dime you. Somebody asked, can we add our own content? Yeah, that course builder that I was talking about earlier, you can either use the content that's in your library, or you can upload your own content. If you have your own interactives, your own SCORM files, you can upload those. If you want to build a course out of PDFs and videos and things like that, you can do that as well. But you 100% upload your own content for sure. We've only got like a minute left. Any other questions you want to drop into the chat, friends?
I have a question. So for folks who are interested, but they're looking for steps for how to get started, do you have any recommendations?
Yeah. You can go fill out the poll, and we'll follow up with you in the next couple of days. We've got people that are really excited to talk to you, and I'm really excited to help you once you're on board.
Awesome. Well, it does look like we're hitting the half hour, so I know folks will have to drop off probably to other meetings and stuff. Thank you both, Shawn and Jake, for your time today, and to all of our attendees for joining us as well. You will receive an email tomorrow with a link to the recording, and we hope that you have a great afternoon.
Yeah, we'll talk to you all soon. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, everyone. This actually concludes today's webcast. Thank you all for attending. The recording will be available at webcast.td.org. We will send all registrants an email tomorrow with this link, and please visit our event calendar to sign up for future webcasts.